why Kyle Shanahan likes short practices. I mean, we don't know, but as a coach, do you know coaches who like short practices, and what is it about? Do they just, is it like an ADD thing, just tension deficit disorder?
I do know, coach. Some coaches want to get out, just go get in there, get it all done, and then go with their family. Like they don't like the grind, the extra time that you got to put in there and just
Yeah,
grind it out. From what I know of the NFL, it's like everybody's like that. Everyone's the opposite of that. Everyone just because you have to, like you have to grind, you have to be in there every day, and sleeping on your couch and all that. But I mean, it's possible that Kyle is trying to alleviate some of that. It's like, all right, well, let's make our practice shorter, 90 minutes, so everyone can go home, be with their family. Maybe I'll stay here for a couple hours, but um, it's if I cut down practice, I only have to stay here for 2 hours, and I get that 2 hours or that extra hour back. I can give it to my family, or maybe he prefers to use that extra hour in the film room, and rather than at practice. It's it's not it's hard to say, not knowing him personally, um, but I definitely have seen coaches that they want to get out of there quickly, so they like short practices.
I also feel like it's partly the fact of the coaches that like the long practices are the coaches that like to teach. Am I wrong with that? The coaches that really like to teach. That's what I've seen at least. And what I'm noticing is like Shanahan isn't a big teacher. He has people who teach. He's more of a play designer and installer. And I think he's just bored by all the aspects of practice that aren't competition. I mean, I love watching competition in practice. It's really interesting. 11 on 11, 7 on 7 is great. One on ones is fascinating. Everything else is like, okay, they're doing the same drills that they were doing yesterday. They're doing the thing with I don't care.
Like,
But
hey,
yeah,
get out of there, Mullins. Let me get some reps. Let me get some reps.
yeah. So I think he just gets a little bored by the non-competitive parts of practice, which me too. I do too. But yo, you gotta love that. You gotta love teaching, man. And Harbaugh did. I mean, Harbaugh would jump into the drills. He loved the drills. It wasn't all about competition with Harbaugh. Harbaugh participated in the special teams, all the stuff. So that's the next, somewhere you can grow.
Coaching is teaching. I mean,
Yes.
it's been said by every
Yes.
single great coach and coach, like
Yes.
you are a teacher, and that's what you are first and foremost. I mean, all the play designing, that's great, but ultimately you've got to teach and teach then teach the fundamentals, and then teach the minute minuscule details of everything. I mean, it's not just the play. Anybody, I mean, you could look up on online and find a playbook if you want, but actually being able to get in the details and go over the details of that play, is not really what you can find on it. And that takes experience and learn in the learning process.
Have you been around coaches who are like me and maybe Kyle, who are really kind of focused on just the competitive parts of practice, iron sharpening iron, and that's it?
Usually maybe younger guys and experienced guys that can happen. I would think that Kyle and once you're on that level, they're not just all about that. Uh,
But I feel like most coaches make a name for themselves and get to where they are in the NFL because they're great teachers. Kyle got to where he is for two reasons. One, he's a great X's and O's guy, and two, he's Mike Shanahan's son, so he could show people. He got in the door, and then he showed why he's brilliant with X's and O's. But it's not like he was coaching at a high school, or he didn't come up the old school way. Didn't have to prove it. Didn't have
yeah,
to
I think
develop that love of teaching.
yeah, I think, but in somewhat of his defense, I think a lot of the NFL comes up that way.
Okay.
There's a lot of guys that are coaches' sons, or I mean, look at LA. Look at all the roster in the league. There's so many people that have their father, their brother, or their uncle was this. I mean, even some of the new people that were brought on. I mean, like I forgot the girl's name that brought on her. I want to say her uncle or her father was a Green Bay, played on the Green Bay Super Bowl roster. So I'm sure that played a role in her getting a job in the NFL. Like, and that's just the name of the game. It's like it's who you know. I mean, there are certain people that get in there on their own merits. And I'm not going to say,
Yeah.
but it's a very difficult thing, and there's plenty of people that get in there that have family, and Kyle's not the only one, and he's not going to be the last one. And you can look on any roster in NFL. There's tons of them. And not to get off subject, but some of the things, it plays in the process of getting some of the racial diversity in changed in the league, and because I don't know if you guys know this, but you don't get your initial job in the NFL. You don't get paid a lot. Like, it's very like you're living on scraps, and so basically you have to sacrifice a lot. And the whole idea behind it is, if you really want this, you'll sacrifice, and you'll work your way up. But however, who can do that, right? It's people that have money. If you
Rich people.
yeah, rich people.
Coaches.
Yeah. Like, you think
Kyle Shanahan.
you think Kyle Shanahan was slumming it? Do you think Lane Kiffin was slumming it when he had his first job? No, like,
no.
They come from a rich family, and so that's part of the problem I think the NFL has to address. It's not just looking at simply racial background, but they've got to fix that. They make enough money; they don't need to pay initial people like $25K a year.
Yeah. So coming back to Kyle and his short love of short practices, we've offered some possible answers, some possibilities. Only he knows. The key is you got to get over it, man.
Maybe you got to
get over it. Yeah. Why do you like short practice? I will. Hey, it's another good example. You're better at journalism than me. You're like, hey, you're always like, why don't you be a journalist? I'm like, yeah, that's a good idea, coach. Thanks for that's why you're a real coach.
Yeah, he's coach. I bet he's not going to like that when you ask him that.
He doesn't like any of my questions, so I mean, whatever.